Okay. Yeah, sure.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining in from. Really, really excited today. If this is the first time you're joining my channel or coming to watch any of my lives, my name is Dr. Gloria Dozian. I'm a LinkedIn visibility and thought leadership expert. And what I do is I help board ready executives build visibility and thought leadership to attract top tier leadership positions. So that's me in a nutshell. Rarely, in fact, I think since I've started doing my lives, I have never had the same guest on twice, right?
Really?
Yes, I have never. This is the first time. And for the first time, I am having the same, because the first conversation, one, I felt it was too short. And we had such an amazing vibe. Like, I felt like
Yes,
we were
the
just
vibe
getting,
was on the charts. Yes, yes, yes.
I felt like we were just getting started, and then let's say we're like, time up. So like, no, 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 she has to come back. She has to come back. So
Mm,
please, 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 before I introduce my special guest of honor today, I want everyone, if you're just joining in, please introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us your name, where you're joining in from. I always like to say I'm a facilitator of these conversations. So you are joining in the conversation as well, right? So please feel free to ask your questions, leave your comments in the chat. I will always highlight your comments and read them out. Okay?
okay.
So really looking forward to that. Right. Okay, let's get started. So today I have with me none other than Coach BMO, Coach
Woo!
Coach. And I just have to tell you, she's who she says she is. Like in the last time since we spoke, since she was on the show, we've met in person. We've
Yes,
had
that was a
several
lot of fun.
conversations. Yeah, right. We went out for a nice brunch.
Yes.
And then, we've had lots of conversations since then. And really, she is just a powerhouse, right? She's a powerhouse when it comes to the boardroom, when it comes to executive leadership. And, she is really in that space where she's empowering women, which is something that I deeply admire. Empowering women, to live that executive life, to reach their full leadership potential, and building a community of women who are doing that and encouraging each other. So please welcome, established non-executive director with over a decade sitting on boards, corporate governance expert, all of it joined together. Please welcome Coach BMO.
Oh, wow. It is such a pleasure to be back. And you know what they say, twice as nice. So once was good, but twice
Yes,
as nice. So I'm super, super excited that we're doing this again. Like you said, we had an amazing conversation the first time. And I am convinced that we would have an even more amazing conversation this time. So super excited to be here. Yes.
fantastic. Oh, I see Juliet in the chat. Hi, Juliet, joining from Port Harcourt, River State. Lovely to see you here. Thanks for joining, Juliet.
Wow.
Who else is joining? Please, my people from Lagos, don't leave us hanging. People in
Have
US,
you?
Canada, let us know. People from Abuja, let us know. So, Coach
Yeah.
BMO, I always like to give guests an opportunity to introduce themselves. So,
Mm.
when you think about the brand you're building and who you are, how would you
Mm.
introduce yourself to the world?
Okay, I think I might have said this last time, but I kind of came up with a way to introduce myself, which kind of encapsulates everything that I feel that I am. So I always say that I'm a pastor by calling, I'm a lawyer by training, I am a qualified attorney both in Nigeria and the US. I say I'm a banker by default. I've been sitting on the board of Wema Bank, one of Nigeria's premier banks now for the last 10 years. And I'm a podcaster by design. I do have a podcast. It's called the Excellent Life Podcast because I'm passionate about living an excellent life. But more importantly, I am the Excellent Life Coach. I call myself that because I did say I'm passionate about living an excellent life, but I am so passionate about helping women get into their full potential and live their very best life. So I am
Mm,
super, super passionate about that. And that is why I launched Women's Lifestyle Hub. It's been almost 3 years now, and it's really a community where we provide support, encouragement to each other as women to really be the very best of ourselves. So yes, there you have it. Oh, someone is joining
Fantastic.
from Cape Town. Wow,
Yes.
nice.
Hi, Norma
Hi,
from Cape Town.
Norma.
Love
Yes,
it.
I was in Cape Town for my 50th birthday. I love, love, love Cape Town. So
Cape
yeah.
Town is a beautiful place. Cape Town is definitely a beautiful place. Oh,
Oh, we have somebody from
Rebecca from
Johannesburg too.
France.
Somebody from
And
France. Oh
yes,
wow.
Mark
Amazing.
from
Amazing.
Joburg. Love it, love it. Please
Oh,
keep the introductions coming, ladies. Don't forget, this is an excellent place to network. I'm sure there are women like you here in the chat, so make sure that you are connecting and part of the conversation. BMO, I love what you said. I love how you've intertwined, and I think that introduction just shows us an example of what the excellent life is,
mm,
because you've sort of shown, okay, yes, I have this executive portion of me, but also I have this other part, this creative part of me, my podcast. I'm building a hub, something that maybe you haven't shared. You're also an entrepreneur,
yeah,
so you have all of these parts of you. You are
yeah,
a pastor, you're a mom. On your content we get to see lovely pictures of you and your boys. You're all of
boys.
these
I'm a
things
boy
blended
mom.
together. Exactly,
Yeah,
boy, mom, exactly. We get to see all
mhm,
of these things blended together. And I guess that's what you mean by being the excellent life coach, like living to your full potential.
potential. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing about it is that everything I do helps me to live a well-rounded and holistic life. Because at times as women, we're so focused on our career that so many other areas of our life suffer. And I always like to introduce myself by all the things I do, so women can understand. They can also feel like I don't have to just be focused on my career. I can have a passion, I can have a podcast, I can be an entrepreneur. So it really just sends the message that, guess what? If I can do it, you can do it. So for me, that's why I like to introduce myself that way.
I think that's so powerful. And it brings me to my first question. And it's really around the idea
Mm.
that women, as women, we always feel the pressure to be more or to do
Mhm.
more, especially in our
Absolutely.
career.
Mm,
Now, as you're building this excellent life, right? What would you
mm,
say to women who feel that pressure to be and do more when they're already doing so many things, but they still
mm.
feel invisible, especially in the corporate world? What would you say to them? What is your advice?
So, for me, it's so interesting. I think sometime last week I did a post about being busy is not about doing more. I think what makes us feel like we have to do more is that it's not a narrative. It's the fact. It's an established fact that women have to put in more effort to get the same results as men. So we feel that pressure to overperform all the time. But for me, I find that I am very selective and strategic in what I do, right? So even though I say, okay, I'm a pastor, all these things are interconnected in such a way that they elevate my brand, right? Because I can bring all the experience from these different areas of my life to be able to speak to women, to empower them, to help them believe that they can also live their very best life. So, I mean, like I think 2 days ago, somebody called me about an opportunity, and I said, at this moment in time, it's not really strategically aligned with what I want to do. So there is a place to do more, but there's also where you say, okay, how does this fit in with the overall picture of who I am and what I want to do? So, because we find that at times a lot of people are doing more, but it does not necessarily give them visibility because it does not enhance their brand or what they are trying to do. So, it's really about being strategic and selective and just doing things that would enhance your overall, brand persona.
I love that. I love the idea of strategy, but I also love the example you gave about saying no, because it's
Yeah.
not about piling more stuff on. It is
Mhm.
about, is this taking me to where I need to go, right?
Exactly.
And then I can make
Yeah.
room for it. I think that's such a fantastic answer. But then that answer comes with a lot of experience, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering for you, right? What was it that you wish someone had told you, right, earlier in your
Mm.
career about navigating leadership roles or board roles as a woman?
Okay, there are many things I can talk about, but I think for me, what really I want women to understand is that leadership can be a lonely journey, right? Because when you have all
Mm,
these values
mm,
and you feel like everybody will have the values, the same values, everybody has loyalty,
mm,
everybody has integrity, and then you get into a boardroom and you realize that your leadership journey is a very individual journey. So because you have your values, you are the things that drive you. But with time, I found that people will say, "Oh, this is what I believe," but then they begin to cave in when they feel like it serves their purpose, right? And one of the things that I've been able to stand strong um, uh, in is my values and not to cave in. And many times I'm in the minority, it might not make impact, but down the road, people will respect you for your being able to stand firm in your core beliefs and your position. So for me, it's really that leadership can be very lonely. There's a saying that the majority is not always right, and many times in the boardroom the majority is not always right, but voting is always by the majority. So you find that you
mm.
are there are times in your leadership journey that you will be alone, and it's fine. It's fine to be in
Wow.
the minority. It's fine to be on that lonely road when you are
Mm,
fully persuaded as to the kind of leader you want to be.
wow. BMO, I
Yeah,
feel like you're shifting some soul patterns here. Because really leadership can be a very, and I feel that as an entrepreneur, it can be
yeah,
a very lonely
lonely.
space, like you say,
Yeah,
but you have to be moved by your convictions sometimes and not
absolutely,
necessarily by what you see.
absolutely. Hmm. Yeah,
So I think that's just fantastic. So guys, if you're just joining the conversation, I am here talking to Coach
stand from your
BMO,
values. Yep. Hmm.
right? And we're talking about commanding the room, building leadership presence with confidence and authenticity. So yes, I'm seeing people are already. Could remember I told you now you have shifting mindset. Somebody's like stand firm on your values. Yes, stand firm on
Absolutely.
your
And
values.
and and can I say something, Coach? It might cost you, but it's fine. Because I shared the story, a personal story with you, how standing on my values costs me. But it's fine. And I always think to myself, if I had to do it again, I would still stand by my values. Because at the end
Mm,
of the day, I want to be able to go to bed at night knowing that I did the right thing. Yeah.
absolutely powerful. Absolutely powerful. So standing
Okay.
on
I
your
think you're
values,
frozen.
oh, am I still frozen? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear you,
Hello?
but you're frozen a bit, but I can
I'm
hear you.
frozen.
Hello, I can hear
Okay,
you. Can you hear me?
okay. I can hear
Yeah.
you. I can hear you. Okay,
Okay.
so
Fantastic. Yeah.
um, I see Tosin has joined us from Lagos. Hi, Tosin from Lagos. Another LinkedIn user has joined us from Toronto. I always wanted to pronounce it like that, Toronto. Thank you for joining us. BMO, my next question, BMO, I hope you can still hear me. My next question is really around kind of like what we're talking about before about standing on your values, right? And it's
Can
about
anyone
what
hear
does
me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Can anybody please, if you're here in the chats, can you just put if you can hear myself or BMO? Hello, can you hear us?
Okay. Are we back? Was that me or was that you?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Hello?
I'm still
Yes.
trying to
No, but
figure
it's
it out.
fine. We're
Can you
here.
hear
So
me?
we're here.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So my question now is around power, right? For women. Okay. So I think there's an internet connection issue. Okay, someone says, yes, I can hear you both. Guys, we're having a
Okay.
conversation today. Okay, fantastic.
Well, the person said BMO is frozen. It was me, but I think, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. You're back. You're
Okay.
back.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
You're
Okay.
back.
Okay.
Okay, so Bima, let's talk about power, right? So we're talking
Mhm,
about commanding the room. Now, a lot of
mhm.
times, people like when people talk about power, they see male dominated types of power, like how men show up,
mm,
right?
mm,
Now, how
mm.
can women build their own internal and external power without mimicking traditional male leadership types or stereotypes?
So, power is an individual concept. So what resonates with me as power is different from what resonates with you as power. I remember that when Hillary Clinton was running for president, and people always used to say, "Why are you wearing pantsuit? Do you want people to think that you're a man?" So for me, what the way I show up powerfully is different from any other person. For me, it's about number one, being comfortable in what I wear to start with. One of the things that I see that really, really I don't like is when a woman enters a room and they're kind of fidgeting with what they're wearing, because already that really kind of is distracting, as far as you trying to make an impact, because you are there, you're pulling. So you want to come in with a nice power suit, right? Right, right. You want to be confident as you walk into a room. You want to make eye contact. One of the things that sends the signal of power is, someone said, look someone in the face and give them a firm handshake, right? But I think maybe also because of our culture as women, we don't look up to people when we talk to them. We look down. We don't want to shake somebody's hands. And those are all the things that really show your power when you enter into a room. So it's about being confident, whether it's you're speaking or just the way you enter the room, and some people take notice of the fact that somebody has come in. It's just that executive presence. Someone said to me the other day that we talk a lot about executive presence, and it's something you can build. But you know that there are people that naturally just have a presence, that they just enter into a room and people have to take notice of them. But executive presence is things you can work on, the way you speak. These are things that over the years I've worked on. I tell people a story about how I sit in front of the mirror and I make a presentation, because for me it's important for me to understand my body language, my face, the way I articulate my words, because those are all the things that make you show up powerfully, right? Yeah.
I love that. I love that, BMO, because when you say practice, right?
Yeah.
Because some people think,
Practice.
oh, some people are born with it, but you can build it,
You
right?
can
And I,
build it.
I love what
Absolutely.
you I love what you say
Yeah.
about that presence, that energy, right?
Mhm.
Because it starts with the internal. So I always say how you feel internally, fixing and then
Mhm.
showing up externally, right? So what you wear, how you
Absolutely.
feel, how
Yes.
you move, all those things
Mhm.
help you to build an awareness of self, which
Mhm.
leads to powerful executive presence.
And I love what you said about awareness of self, because I find that a lot of people are not very aware of themselves, right? So being aware of yourself means that I'm aware about the way I look, I'm aware about the way I speak, I'm aware about the way the person I'm speaking to is perceiving what I'm saying, which are all very key for communication. I talk a lot about communication and the fact that your non-verbal communication is 90% of what you're saying. So the words that you speak out of your mouth is only 10% of your communication. So the way you are going, all those things, they really matter a lot. And that's where self-awareness is important. Knowing that your communication is not just about what you're saying, it's about the way you project yourself.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yes, I love what you say about, even things, hand gestures. I was watching a
Yeah.
video today and this lady was talking about, how to show that you are listening to people, nodding your head, those types of things,
Yes.
little
Yes.
non-verbal cues, right, can go a
Mhm.
long way in terms of your presence. Guys, if you're just joining now, you've missed a bit, but there's more to come. There's more to come. I'm talking to Coach PMO, and we're talking about
Yeah.
commanding the room, building leadership presence with confidence and authenticity. Um,
Mm.
Coach PMO, there's a rumor. There's a rumor going around that you have a webinar coming up. Is this true?
It is a
There's
fact.
a
That
rumor.
is not a rumor. It is a fact. I do have a webinar coming up on Friday. It's titled From Imposter to Influencer, right? It's all about commanding the room, because someone said the other day that imposter syndrome is become very, very real. So, and there's no room for it. There's absolutely no room for it. So we want to move from being an imposter to an influencer, right? So it's fact. It's a fact. It's not a
It's a
rumor.
fact. Okay. Please, you're going to share with us how we can get in on that webinar. I love it. From imposter
Yeah.
to influencer. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. So we're
Yeah.
going to come back to that. So guys, make sure you stay tuned. If you want to learn how to go from being feeling like an
I mean,
imposter to being an influencer in the room, you definitely want to
yeah.
listen to this conversation. Please let us know in the chat what part of these conversations are resonating with you and where you are joining us from today. So Bima, when I was introducing you, I was talking about, that you have over a decade of boardroom experience. What do you
Mhm.
think a lot of female executives in Africa or diaspora,
Mhm.
what do you think are their challenges? What would you say is the biggest challenge for African
Mhm.
women in their boardroom journey?
It's not just Africa women, it's the biases and the labels that, follow us everywhere we go as women. Whether it's that narrative that we are aggressive, the moment we kind of raise our voice, we are aggressive, or whether we are talking with passion, they will say we are emotional. Meanwhile, a man does all those things and they don't label it like that. So we are very conscious of the biases, we're conscious of the labels, and we want to be accepted. So we're trying to walk that fine line where you're trying to be your authentic self, right? But you're also aware of the fact that if I talk too loud now, they will say that, I'm aggressive. If I talk with conviction and passion, they will say, she's just been emotional. So it's really, it's really all about dealing with all those things and trying to your best to be accepted. So that is really for me what it is. I when I first went to the US, I mean, growing up, I talk, I don't feel like I talk loud, but I talk with confidence and clarity. And I remember somebody said, "Why are you raising your voice?" I'm like, "I'm not raising my voice." But really, that's the moment you raise your voice. There's this narrative because they said the black angry black, the mad angry
Angry
black.
black woman.
Yes. So, and we're very conscious of it, and it's really a challenge. You want to be your authentic self, but at the same time, you are trying to think, oh, if I be my authentic self, am I going to come across as rude? Am I going to come across as what's it called, crazy? Am I going to come across as being, just over passionate, if there's any such thing? So it's really that those are some of the challenges, the stereotypes that we've had to deal with. And men are not subjected to the same thing. Someone said to me the other day that when a man is trying everything to progress in his career, they say is driven. But a woman, they will say we're overambitious. So it's still all the stereotypes and labels that we constantly have to deal with. Yeah. So someone
Amazing.
said
Somebody says yes. Yeah,
it's prevalent
stereotyping bias.
everywhere. It's everywhere. Yes, absolutely.
And I think what this causes is that it causes women to want to minimize themselves because you don't want
Exactly.
to fill in the space. You want to just stay, let them not notice me, let them not say this. But you wrote a post, I think it was yesterday, BMO, that I
Mhm.
love so much. And you said it's not about being liked, it's about
Like
being
it's about being
respected, right?
respected. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a time I used to say to my husband, "Oh my God, this person doesn't like me." But honestly, I've gotten to a point now in my career that I don't want to be liked. I'm sorry, that might you know, sound offish to some people. I want to be respected because for me, that's more important at the end of the day. But I guarantee you, when people eventually respect you, they will not only like you, they will love you because they will see you as somebody who has been able to stand firm in their beliefs and they have not wavered when other people would have wavered. So it's really about what kind of leader do you want to be seen as, right? There are some leaders, they want everybody to like them, but behind them, the people that they are leading are laughing at them. So it's really, at the end of the day, like I said, being able to go to bed at night and be comfortable with the kind of leader that I am. For me, that's really the test for me. That do I go to bed at night and think, oh my God, you showed up as your true, authentic self today, or you decided to cave because you want to win some popularity contest. Leadership is not a popularity contest. The most effective leaders, they might not be well liked, but at the end of the day, they are very respected, right?
I love that. I love that. I love the question around, and that question really resonated with me when you said it, BMO. What kind of leader do you want to be?
Yeah,
And I think answering that question is so key for all of us here. It's so key. But BMI, I'm sure that there are times you've had to defend your voice in the room when we talk
absolutely.
about minimizing ourselves and things like that. Can you just tell us
Mm.
about a time if you've had to negotiate or defend your voice, especially when maybe you were the only one? Like, you're talking about sometimes it's not about the majority vote. You have to
Yeah,
follow your conviction, right?
yeah.
Can you tell us about a time like that and how you managed to do that?
I mean, there have been times like that. And what I've tried to do in those circumstances is not to doubt who I am, because at the end of the day, that is really the agenda for you to be able to think, oh, why are you the only one different? Why is there some, maybe an irrational person? Why are you the only one that has a different opinion? And, at the end of the day, I've had to stay firm to my convictions. I've been in meetings where I've been the dissenting voice, and I will say to them, I think I want my dissent to be recorded as part of the minutes. I
Oh
want it to
wow.
be. Oh yes, I remember one day we had this conversation, and it was such a you know strong conversation. I said, you know what, guys, you guys can make your decision, but please let the minutes of the record state that this was my position, right? And I remember that day that they were taken aback by that, because most times when you are the lone voice, everybody seems to have their way, and that's the end of the matter. But I really wanted it to be on the record that, you know what, you guys might have decided to do this, but I wasn't a part of that decision, you know?
Oh wow. Well, I think that takes a lot of self-confidence, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
like,
an internal
let
compass
the
because
record show, like they say in court, let the record
yes.
show that the defendant was firm on this aside. Yes, I told my company secretary, I said, you will make it part of the records that I was not privy to this decision. Yeah. So
Wow.
in future, posterity will show that, okay, the board made this decision, but this person made it part of the records to say, you know what, I was not in on this. Right. And it's all about
Wow.
being able to sleep at night. Yeah.
You know why that is? I think that is such powerful conviction because some people will say, what if my own decision, their own way became right at the end of the day? Let me just leave it. But you're so passionate about the things you believe in to be
Yeah.
true. That you're willing to say, no, actually, this is what I stand for, and let the record
Yeah.
reflect what I stand for. That's so
Exactly.
powerful.
Yeah. And that's also part of showing up powerfully. We're talking about how to show up powerfully, being firm in your conviction
Mm,
and being willing to,
mm,
stick with it.
mm,
So
mm.
that was interesting. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm curious, BMO, how do you end up like this, right? What experiences influence that? Because you know as as women, like I really believe that society teaches us to doubt ourselves or to play
Mm-hmm.
specific roles. So I'm really
Mm.
curious, right, how you've learned to lead with authenticity. What was it that made you decide, actually, the kind of leader I want to be is an authentic leader?
So I think honestly, my upbringing has a lot to do with it. It's so interesting that I was having a conversation with my brother the other day about, you know, something that happened, and I said, my dad is a man of integrity, and when you're a person of integrity, you assume everybody should have integrity, and somebody had done something to him. So that's the way I was raised. I've always been raised to be a person of integrity. So for me, at times in life, when you have not been exposed to anything different, you just believe that this is the way. And honestly, for me, that's how I ended up here, to be able to say that, you know what, I will stand by my conviction, because that's the way I was raised. And I
Powerful.
don't know what else to say, but honestly, I mean, my husband at times makes fun of me because he says, you are not a very diplomatic person. And like I said, at times, my being firm on my convictions will cost you, but it's a price I'm willing to pay, honestly. It's really a
Wow.
price that I'm willing to pay. Some people are not willing to pay that price to say, you know what, if this is going to cost me a position I want to, is it going to cost me a job? Let me just settle. I've tried. I can't comprehend it, to do that. I remember a situation happened, and everybody was like, why don't you just let go? I said, well, it's not
Mm,
just, it honestly is not just me. So Yeah.
I
Thank
love
you,
that.
Camille. Camille said that's knowing your worth and value. Absolutely.
Completely, and standing 10 toes down on it. Like, I know
Yeah.
who I am, and standing 10
Yeah.
toes, I think that's so powerful. But
Yeah.
we're talking about your webinar earlier. We're talking about going from feeling like an imposter to being an influencer. And I just
Yeah.
wondered, I know you're going to talk more about this during your webinar, but I wonder if you could give us a sneak peek, right? Was there ever a
Ah!
time was there
I
ever
thought
a
I
time
can.
you experienced any kind of
Yes.
self-doubt? Like, did
Um,
you have you experienced some sort of self-doubt? What made you How did you become and start to feel ready for these opportunities?
so I've been talking about how I'm just a very confident person. I show up, and then I went to Harvard. I went for a management program in Harvard, and I was tongue-tied. Coach Glory, you
Mm,
won't believe it. I could not speak. And I'm like, because I'm looking at all these people in the room, people were introducing themselves from all over the world. And in that
mm,
moment, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? All the way from Nigeria.
mm,
And I remember the first day I went to my hotel room and I'm like, this is so unlike you to not be able to speak and just it was like I just froze. And then I just really started to say to myself that, you know what, you are prepared. Because one of the things my husband even tells me I over prepare. I don't just show up anyhow. I am constantly, preparing. So I was like, but you've done the work. You deserve to be here. I mean, there's nothing about any other person that was in that room that makes them more qualified than you. Everybody had to go through screening to be able to enter into that management program, and you nailed it. So I went back the next day, and I was like, you know what, show up. It is so funny because I remember we're taking photographs and I put myself right in the center of the photo. Because they were like, I'm like, no, 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 I'm not staying on the side. I literally, if you, I think I put a picture from that training on my thing. You will see
mm.
me, and I was wearing a pink jacket, so you couldn't miss me. I was right in the center of the photo with my pink jacket, not to be missed.
Oh wow, I love that story, and I think it's such an an authentic story, and I think
Mm.
everybody can relate to that, entering a room and feeling like, how did I get here? Was it a mistake?
Yeah,
Did I take the wrong turning?
yeah,
But I love that conversation of going back and actually speaking to yourself and
yeah,
remembering who you are, right? And then
absolutely.
making a decision to show up intentionally. I really love
Yeah.
that story. Guys, please let's give VMO some questions. So what are your questions? Start to type them in the chat.
Okay.
I'm going to ask her. While we wait for those questions, VMO, can you tell us a bit about your webinar? What can we expect from the webinar? How can we join? Give us
So the
the gist.
webinar is for women in mid to senior management, and we're going to be talking about, you know, basically some of the things we've spoken about today, which is how to go from an imposter in that believing, because a lot of us we sit in rooms and we do not believe we have earned our seat at the table. So it's really about helping women know and reinforce their self-worth that you know what, you've done the work, you deserve the seat at the table, and having the confidence, just like I was able to overcome that initial feeling overwhelmed and feeling like I didn't belong in Harvard, to now say, you know what, I'm going to show up with my pink jacket and put myself right in the middle of the mix. So it's really about that, because I tell you, there was a stat that I saw once that blew me away. It said that most men, if they meet 60% of a job description, they will apply for the job. A woman will meet 90% of a job description and will still be like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. That is part of the imposter syndrome that we're talking about. Just constantly second guessing ourselves as to whether we're good enough. So my assignment in the webinar is to let people know that, you know what, imposter syndrome is real, but guess what? There's a way to overcome it so that you go from being an imposter to an influencer. Because leadership is about influence. John Maxwell said, leadership is influence. Straight, bam, end of the story. So if you want to be an influential leader, you cannot do it from the position of an imposter. So yes.
I love that. I love that. So many things that we can expect. And I'm sure every woman that is listening here has one, or even from conversations we've had with our friends, even if it's not us, we know friends that we are like, you are the star. And then, but she's shrinking, you know? And so
Yeah.
I think that we should all, how do we register for the webinar? Coach BMO, should we go to your
Okay, there's
profile?
a
What do we
question. Though Camila has a question. She's like, "How do you get over
Oh yeah,
listening
no,
and
I'm
seeing?"
going to go to Camille's question in a bit. I wanted to
Okay,
find out how we
okay,
register for the
okay.
webinar.
So
I'll go
for
to Camille's question
so
shortly.
jump to my LinkedIn on my LinkedIn page. You can register. There's a post there that allows you to register. In fact, all week we've been talking about the webinar. So if you jump to my LinkedIn page, you can sign up for the webinar. It's free. Yes, 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 yes. It's free. So you can sign up. It's going to be on Friday. Oh, okay. Blessing. Oh, look at Blessing right there. Drop in the link for me. Hi, Blessing. Blessing's my community manager. Thank you, Blessing. Yes.
Love
So
it,
she's actually
love it,
dropped the
love
link
it.
for
Thanks,
you. So you
Blessing.
don't even have to go look for it. Thank you. God bless Blessing. Yes. So that's the link to
Well
register
done,
for the week.
Blessing. Well, that's how to show up and show out. Well done,
Absolutely.
Blessing. So let's go to
Okay.
Camille's question. Camille says, how do you get over listening and seeing yourself when you are practicing?
Well, for me, I don't think you should get over it because there's a reason they say practice makes perfect, right? So the more you practice, the better you will become. And I am that kind of person that I am constantly raising the bar for myself. And I like to say that today's excellence is tomorrow's mediocrity. So what you thought you were doing well today, by the time you wake up tomorrow is mediocrity. Look, this is my iPhone now. There's I got this iPhone probably last year. There's two more. There's been two updates since then. So it's I don't think you can that you can practice too much because, like I said, there's something new to be learned. There's something different to do. Even when I preach, I'm a pastor. I go back and watch my sermons. And initially, my husband did not understand. He'll be like, "You this girl, you like to watch yourself?" I say yes, because I'm watching my hand gestures. I'm listening to the way I articulate my words. So those are all the things that. So next time I'm taking note and saying I need to be able to do this better, right? So it's really about understanding that the essence of going back and practicing is to make it better. You know, that's why they say practice makes better, right? Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. So Camille says, I'm liking this conversation. We'll be at the webinar. LinkedIn user says
Please,
registering right
okay,
now.
please go
Amazing.
join, go
Camille,
join.
I'd
Looking forward
also just
to
add
you.
a bit. Yes, I mean, Camille, I would also add to that. You know, one of the things that I find, there's this public speaker coach that I listened to one time, and she mentioned something. She was like, when she coaches people, so she does exactly what BMO was mentioning, like speak, practicing into the mirror. That when people watch themselves back, the men hardly ever commented on their appearance, right? So maybe the
Hmm.
guy would just be like, oh, or maybe once in a while a man would just like, oh, my tie is a bit funny. But women, they were like, is that how my mouth is? Oh my God, is that how I look? My face is so
Why all
chubby.
that hand
Oh, this and
motion? Me, I'm
everything.
always careful about my hands.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
you understand?
no.
So it's really about making sure that you're observing the right things. So some advice for you, maybe, listen to it 3 times. The first time, listen to just the audio.
Mm-hmm.
The next time,
Mm-hmm.
just watch the video, so you are
Mm-hmm.
able to watch your hand gestures, how you stand, your posture, and all of that. Then listen to everything together. That way you are focused on the right things, your delivery, how you pause,
Mm-hmm.
are you saying a lot of those types of things, so that will
I'm
help you
telling
focus on the
you.
right thing.
Yes. Absolutely,
Amazing,
absolutely,
amazing,
absolutely.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. So, Coach, please, guys, keep the questions coming. I have another question for you, Coach BMO. And my question is really around, if you had one piece of advice for African
Mhm.
women looking to sit on boards, what would it be?
Show up confidently with and as your authentic self. Show up confidently. And networks are so important, right? Um,
Mm.
a lot of people, a lot of board positions are by referrals, right? Um, a lot of HR people send out They will tell you to send in resumes as a formality. But I guarantee you, to get on a board, you need to have a network of people that know you and can vouch for you. That's one of the things. And then
Mm,
also I would say that have a clarity about the kind of board you want to be on. As much as I want to be on boards, it's not every board I want to get on. So you want to be able to define your leadership, the kind of leader you want to be, and be able to look at the boards that would amplify your leadership
mm,
potential. You know, there are some boards that honestly, if they offered it to me, I'll be like, you know what, that doesn't align with my values. It doesn't align with who I am as a person. So all those things are important. And then most importantly, be prepared. I say that opportunity plus preparation equals success, because the last thing you want is to have an opportunity to get on the board, but you're not prepared for the position, right? So preparation is so key. I remember when I was looking towards getting a particular board position, I did a customized coaching for 6 months for that one position. 6 months. We were focusing on every aspect of it. So please be prepared. Wishful thinking is good, but it's better to be prepared. So prepare, show up with confidence, with clarity and authenticity, and get into the right networks that would create the opportunities for you to be able to get on the boards that you desire. Yep.
I think that's so powerful. First of all, just being clear on the kind of board opportunities that you want. And it goes
Yeah.
back to what you were talking about, value and authenticity,
Yeah.
and networks being super important. Yes, LinkedIn user agrees with you, says, yes, network is important. People that will vouch for you. CV sometimes is just a formality.
It's a
Before
formality. Oh, yeah.
they need to know you before they ask for the CV. So,
Yeah.
so network is important. It's really
Yeah.
important. Guys, please keep those questions coming. My final question from my end, Coach BMO, is complete the sentence. The boardroom needs more women who dash.
Who are confident, authentic, and will absolutely own their power. Yes, that's what we need. We need
Yes.
confident, authentic women who will not shrink. You know, we talked about shrinking, but they will come on and they will own their power. You know, so
Mm.
yes, that's what I feel. Yes.
Yes, yes, authenticity, own their power, not shrinking. I love it, love it. Coach VMO, I don't know. Are we going to bring you back for the third time? Because I mean, the time has gone by already. Like, we've already
I
been here for
know, and it's always
like,
such a meaningful and impactful session when we talk. Don't worry, we're going to do something apart from LinkedIn. No, we can't just be
yes,
doing all this 30
to,
minute
I'm telling
stuff.
you, we have to do something. We have to do something. This is it's amazing.
Yes,
Amazing.
yes,
We've
we have
heard
to
it
do
all here
something.
from Coach PMO, right? She's been talking to us about um commanding the room, building a leadership presence with confidence and authenticity. She shared her own story, right, as well
Mm,
as when she was feeling a bit of an imposter, but also her own stories of standing 10 toes on her values, and not
mm,
being afraid to be the odd voice in the room, the lone voice in the room. She shared with us what it looks like for you to feel powerful in the room. We've talked about executive presence, how you show up, right, in a way that is authentic to you, right? Not about everybody else. This has been such an amazing conversation. And I really want to say thank you to everyone who's joined in, everyone who's asked a question, everyone who's participated, but also to Coach BMO for being the amazing person that she is. And I want you all to run, not walk,
yes, run,
run
run,
right
run, run.
to BMO's profile. If you're not following her already, please make sure you're following her. Engage with her
Mhm.
content. Her content is always awesome. I referenced some of the content that she's posted already. And make sure that you register for her webinar, which is happening on Friday, right? And the webinar is, I just love the title, From Imposter to Influencer, right? My goodness.
Mm.
So well, it's going to be juicy. It's going to be
Yeah,
juicy.
very
It's going to be
girly, girly. Camille is talking about not losing your femininity. No, no. We can be girly but powerful.
me. I'm
Absolutely.
girly. Oh. I'm girly. See my pink fingernails.
I know, I know. We can be girly And that girlie will fool them. They'll be like, oh, she will just be a rollover. I don't think so.
No, 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 no. Don't be fooled by the
Oh,
pink.
wow.
Don't be fooled by the pink. I love it.
Oh,
Fantastic.
registered.
Fantastic.
Oh, okay. Will it be recorded? Of course, it will be recorded. Absolutely. We cannot have a webinar and not record it. Yes,
So
absolutely.
yes, 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 yes. Excited. So BMO, we're gonna see. We
Girl
need to let you
power.
go and rest
Yes. Yes.
so that you can come on Friday and
Yes.
girl power. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So we need to let BMO go and catch her beauty sleep so that she will be on fire for us on Friday. So BMO, thank you so much for
Amen.
being
All
here
right. Thank you for
and looking forward
having
to seeing you
me.
Friday.
And we have to do lunch again. So,
Yes. I remember what I said the last time we have lunch. I said, I mentioned something that next time we
oh,
have
yes,
lunch.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, let's go. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. All right,
Okay,
Laird.
fantastic.
Okay.
All right, all
All right.
right.
Bye
Good
bye.
night, everybody. Good night.
Yes.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.